Hello, this is Julie Greene, and this is the Julie Mad Blogger radio show. And this week we've had Passover, and it is also Easter, and I'm doing the Passover version of the Julie Mad Blogger radio show. And this week, in honor of Passover, I'm going to talk about the inner revolution. And in honor of the inner revolution and Passover, I'm going to discuss running away from home. And to start off with, I think I'm going to read a poem. And this is going to be, it's not actually a Passover poem, but it's going to be by W.B. Yeats, and you can really wonder why I'm reading this poem, but I'm going to read it. It's called "An Irish Airman Foresees His Death" by W.B. Yeats. I know that I shall meet my fate somewhere among the clouds above. Those that I fight, I do not hate. Those that I guard, I do not love. My country is Kiltartan Cross. My countrymen, Kiltartans poor, no likely, and could bring them loss, or leave them happier than before. Nor law nor duty bade me fight, nor public men, nor cheering crowds. A lonely impulse of delight drove to this tumult in the clouds. I balanced all, brought all to mind. The years to come seem waste of breath, a waste of breath, the years behind. In balance with life, this death. Okay, now why on earth did I read that? But did you see that glimpse? Did you see that window? Did you see that window? Did you see him opening that window and looking and seeing? Did you see it? That little light bulb. Did you see it? That inner revolution, that very, very brief foreseeing. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you did. Okay, let me close that off for a second and switch to another topic. When I was practicing this, I realized I was jumping around from topic to topic, and let me tell you, folks don't like that too much. So, let me apologize for doing that in advance. And I'm gonna switch things around, so at some point I stick to one story and tell the whole thing. But anyway, let me talk about running away from home for a minute. Have you ever thought about running away from home? And where'd you think about running away to? Now, I thought about running away to Oz. Now, of course, we thought about that a whole bunch now this time of year, didn't we? We thought about running away to the land of Oz. Of course, I thought, well, gee, maybe if the wind blows hard enough, my whole house is going to pack up and fly away to Oz. I mean, won't it? Won't it pick up from where it is and land someplace else if the wind blows hard enough? Or maybe I'll end up in Wonderland if I can only walk through this darned mirror. Or if I can eat some funny food like a mushroom. I don't know. That stuff the babysitters seem to eat. Well, I don't know. Or maybe if you grew up in a different generation from mine, you saw the movie E.T. and you thought about other planets. Or maybe you watched Star Trek. Some version, depending upon how old you were. There were different versions, weren't there? There were so many different books and movies and TV shows about time travel. There were all sorts of them. Or maybe you went to Woodstock depending, you could have been a kid that was brought to Woodstock. Or maybe you went to Woodstock and you don't even remember it because, well, never mind. Or maybe you just heard all those records about Woodstock. Or maybe you just heard your parents play the records from Woodstock. Or maybe you sang all those songs from Woodstock. Or maybe you didn't. Or maybe you were in foster care. Or maybe you thought about foster care, or you heard about foster care. You thought about a foster family or took in foster kids. Or maybe you wished you were a foster family or something like that. Or maybe there was a Prince Charming, or you thought about a Prince Charming, or you heard about or read about a Prince Charming, or you wished you kissed one. Or you saw a frog, caught a frog, and thought maybe, gee, if I kiss this thing, it'll turn into a Prince Charming or a Princess Charming. Or is that even possible? But maybe you read about the British royalty, like that Lady Diana, Princess Diana, or saw one of those weddings on TV. Or maybe you lived in Britain, and maybe you heard about that awful crash, and did that even really happen, or was it something in a magazine? Or did you go to summer camp? Did you toast the perfect marshmallow and wish you could just bring that all back again, run away from home and go back to that summer camp and make it all real and happen all over again? Or hear those guitars playing again, bring that all back and make mom and dad go away and just go back to that ideal summer camp somewhere. Because, gee, this whole mom and dad land sucks royally, doesn't it? But maybe you didn't think those things at all. Or did you just want to hitchhike like I did? That's who I was. Anyway, me, I had a tree outside my window, and I always thought, well, gee, I can escape out my window, my bedroom window. I can go outside, escape outside my bedroom window, go outside onto the tree, go climb down the tree, and then I'll be free. And I sure thought that a whole bunch on Passover. Oh, sure I did. I thought I'll escape via that tree, and I'll be free just like the Jews were free from slavery by the Egyptians. Of course I did. Guess what happened? One day, my parents chopped down the tree. Oh, yeah, they did. But you were probably a kid just like I was. Now, I'm going back to the idea of that flash that the airman had. That flash, that foreseeing. Guess what I had? I had a flash. I grew up. I had a flash. I had a flash of foreseeing. What I had was a microcosm of what was to be the whole bunch of the rest of my life. What I did was, I went out when I was 21 and I had a trip. It was kind of a vision quest. You ever hear of a vision quest? I went out and had a vision quest. I went out and did a trip. I did a 40-day, 40-night trip, hitchhiking trip across the country. Now, part of that trip was kind of a going into a group. And I joined the group and then I walked out of the group. Now, this little 10-day experience was a microcosm of what? My future. But I didn't even know it. Now, I got out of the group and I said, whoa, what happened there? This whole thing, the whole, 40-day trip, really, it was a microcosm of my whole life. But I didn't even know it. I said, God, I got to write about this experience and tell people about it. But no one would really listen, and I thought, oh my God, something like incredible, fantastic, wonderful happened to me. It was the inner revolution. Wow. You gotta talk about this stuff, and when it happens to you, folks, you gotta talk about this stuff when it happens to you. But anyway, you really do. So, now, what happened to me? This little 10-day experience is microcosm. I want to talk about it and tell the whole story of it right now. Because when I was rehearsing before, I was jumping around too much. But I had to tell the whole story so as not to confuse you. I went into a brainwashing cult. I was brainwashed, and then I walked out. I walked out voluntarily, which not too many people do. Now, it was, I walked in, and I got brainwashed. Now, around day 8 or 9, I started to realize we were being brainwashed. Not too many people wake up to it and realize it, but I did. What I did was I said, I gotta talk to other people. But I couldn't because we were being listened on to and stuff. So I started to try to pass notes. Pass notes. I was being a big mouth. I started to pass notes. I said, I gotta save people. I gotta save people. I gotta save people. Like, I had this, like, going on in my head like a mantra. I gotta save people. So I started to pass notes, try to talk about it and everything. They caught me at it. They kicked me out real fast. They said, Julie, you can't talk. You can't squeal. I got kicked out. It was 3 in the morning, all by myself. It was scary. It was, like, really scary. Being out there, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I got home. I got safe. I got to a safe place. I was like, whoa, what happened, man? And then, eventually, my parents were scared. Everybody was kind of scared about the whole thing. And eventually I was home, but, it was scary, and I kind of didn't want to tell anybody at first, and then I kind of started talking about it. But not really. Not really. I really never told anyone until much later. When I was kind of safe and everything. But, it was like you kind of didn't talk about it. But anyway, that was it. That was my little microcosm. What was it, dearies? It was a microcosm of my mental health experience. So guess what I did? I went to college and I took a sociology course. So how brilliant can you get? I wrote a paper without telling that I really had been through it. I wrote a paper about the cult experience. I wrote a paper about cults without even revealing that I had actually been in a cult. I wrote a paper on cults. I'm now combing through my belongings trying to find that paper, but it's around here somewhere. With all my teachers' brilliant comments about my paper. What I can remember, of course, is right here. It's in some of the books I got. There are 4 kinds of religion. Religions can be grouped into 4 types. There's the religion, the denomination, the sect, and the cult. And, the sects and the cults, they're deviant. And the cults, in fact, are socially isolated. Now, how I didn't really see things at the time were that all groupings, not just religions, are grouped that way. There are some that are deviant and some that are more mainstream, such as the denominations. Those are mainstream. Well, we have in medicine some that are more deviant, don't we? And some that are more mainstream. Like, isn't psychiatry like on the deviant side? And some that are more mainstream, but isn't like psychiatry like more like getting more mainstream and more into the like, oh whoa, everyone's doing psychiatry now, huh? But let's just say the mental ward is it's like once you get onto that mental ward, you're socially isolated, aren't you? You're cut off. Think of it that way. This idea of mine, like, it's not fully it's not fully developed. But anyway, you can see how I experienced in that cult, my cult experience in 1979. It was a microcosm of my nearly 3.5 decades in the mental health system. Like, it really should have been a foreseeing, like, almost as if it was a flash. It was a warning. Julie, don't do it. But I did. I've walked out of the mental health experience. I've walked out of it. Not only that, while I was in it, I was like, oh guys, you gotta get out. And I was like, ooh, booted out, wasn't I? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, scary, booted out, wasn't I? Oh yeah. You can't talk, Julie, you can't talk. Booted out. Shut up, Julie, shut up. Oh yeah. Told to shut up, wasn't I? Oh yeah. Put on a watch, wasn't I? Oh yeah. Can't get care now, can I? No. Nobody wants me around. Censored, am I? Never ever shut up. So anyway, you go through a 180-degree turnaround, as I did while I was within the cult. You cannot walk back in. You walk in, you walk back in. It seems like a darn joke. You just don't believe them anymore. You can't. You won't. You won't. All their coping skills just aren't going to work. I mean, hold on to a frozen orange, get out of here. It's just a waste of an orange. Nothing, none of their skills, none of their baloney is going to work. I mean, really. You need this medication the way a diabetic needs insulin. I don't think I'm deficient in antipsychotics. Get out of here. I mean, really, they can prove that I'm, rate your moods on a scale of 1 to 10. Get out of here. I'm not going to get obsessed like that again. Get out of here. I don't really need them. I don't. So, you just can't walk back because it seems like such a joke, and they're so obviously insulting you right and left, guys. I can't walk back. I'm just going to be laughing in their faces. Just laughing at everything they say. It's not even realistic. I don't need them. I don't need them. And I can just tell they ain't listening. None of their things, the stuff they say, seems true anymore. They don't sound logical to me. You make a 180-degree turn, and once you walk out, it just makes no sense to walk back in. What is this inner revolution? Whether you run away from home, if it's real or imagined. All forms of mental illness are an inner revolution. Let's celebrate Passover. We should be celebrating inner revolutions. We should not be locking up people who are having inner revolutions. All over colleges, all over the world, people are being rewarded for having light bulbs going off in their heads, for becoming free. They are gaining degrees. They're being rewarded for having light bulbs going off in their heads. Let's knock down all those locked doors today. Unlock those locked doors, and they will never be locked again, because none of the things they say is going to even make sense anymore. Folks, Passover is here to stay. Passover will be every day. Those locks won't even fit anymore. Happy Passover, everyone. Till next week, this is Julie on the Julie Mad Blogger radio show. Good night. Bye-bye. Never ever shut up.